guys, Miss Parsons here. I know some of you might be coming back to school next week, but for some of you it's going to be a little bit longer. So I thought that I'd read you a story. Now, the set of stories I've got are by an author called Dr. Seuss. Now, if you've ever been in my class, you may have heard me read some of the Dr. Seuss books, and they're a little bit silly. They don't make a lot of sense, but sometimes they've got a bit of a hidden meaning if you really think about the story. Now, I was inspired to read this one because my little boys watched the film of it the other day, and it made me think, gosh, what a good story about how we need to look after ourselves, look after our world, and look after everything that's in it, really. And I think especially at the moment when we're all missing friends and family, it's got a really good meaning to it. So the story I'm reading today is called The Lorax, and it's by Dr. Seuss, as I said. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives there. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurking on top of his store. He lurks in his lurking, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnight in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He can tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 pence and a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a noise, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snuff, his secret strange hole in his grovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-my-phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slop. Down slops the whisper-my-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear. Since you have to come down, they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds, if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding grey, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffler trees, the bright coloured tufts of the truffler trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffler fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those truffler trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop, Then I chopped down a truffle tree with one chop, and with great skilful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you sit at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffular tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets or curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But at the very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily brought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at the Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of chopping of truffular trees. Oh dear. Then, oh baby, oh how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffular trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I am the Lorax who speaks for the trees which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily eating truffular fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffular fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies in tummies, you know.